Welcome back to Frankly Speaking. And here we are again in the Veterans Center in Corona, California. And a very familiar face, who is soon to depart us, unfortunately, Buddy Hawkins. Buddy, what is your official title here, by the way?
I'm the team leader.
A team leader. Is that really the official thing? Or
yes, team leader. Every vet center has a team leader. Mm-hmm. And I have a clinical staff. I'm also a licensed clinician. I have two clinicians that aren't licensed yet, but they're in the process. Mm-hmm. I have, actually I have three because I have one part-time. Mm-hmm. And I also have a DWAP, person that goes out to meet the National Guard mm-hmm. and the Reserve troops fighting in Vietnam, mm-hmm. and cut that out, fighting in Iraq, and also prior to the time they deploy. Mm-hmm. And while they are deployed, he works with a lot of the businesses, corporations around. They give things like toys for the kids, and then he has big family days, because some of these National Guard units, they might have a base at one armory, say in Riverside mm-hmm. County, but the Guard members might be scattered all over Southern California. So they don't have as much regular contact as people, say, on Camp Pendleton, who live in a housing development would.
How long has this center been here?
Well, we're going on our fourth year here.
Fourth year. Before that, you were in Riverside.
Riverside. Yes. We were there we were there from 1982 until 4 years ago.
And there's one of these in San Bernardino. Mm-hmm. Do you know just roughly what the logistics and how far apart they are and how many people they serve, just roughly?
I'm not sure exactly how many they serve, but they're approximately 23 miles from here. Mm. There's 207 vet centers worldwide, from mm-hmm. Caribou, Maine to St. Croix and the Virgin Islands, and from Anchorage, Alaska to Guam, mm-hmm. and everywhere in between. Mm-hmm. In Southern California, we have 9 vet centers. And
where are they? From northern Sacramento all the way down to what?
Well, they're from Washington State to all through Oregon, mm-hmm. Northern California. Mm-hmm. In this particular region, which is Region 4B, we have vet centers in Oregon, mm-hmm. California, mm-hmm. all the islands in Hawaii, mm-hmm. And Guam.
I know it takes...
31 vet centers total.
It takes a DD-214, which is the discharge paper that we get when you're officially separated from the military. What else? Do you have to have been served in combat or non-combat? Or does it make any difference?
Well, the only people we actually serve mm-hmm. here are long-term is combat veterans, mm-hmm. or veterans who were sexually traumatized mm-hmm. on active duty. Mm-hmm. Now, if someone comes in here, we don't say, well, if you're not a combat vet, we can't see you. Mm-hmm. What we do, we see them for 3 to 5 sessions mm-hmm. and hook them up with the local facilities or agencies mm-hmm. that can provide the service that they need from us. Mm-hmm. Specifically, Loma Linda VA Medical mm-hmm. Center, we mm-hmm. refer everyone there. Mm-hmm. Riverside County Veteran Service Office, we refer them there for benefits. Mm-hmm. And we're very fortunate that we have Dr. Charlotte Rios here twice a month, and Dr. Rios does vocational rehab. And vocational rehab, some people think of vocational rehab as wood shop, metal shop, things like that. Mm-hmm. But vocational rehab is education up to a bachelor's level, and in some cases up to a master's level.
Now, at this particular center, there's also a clinic attached.
Right.
Yes. What do they do there?
That is one of the clinics that belong to Loma Linda VA Medical Center. Mm-hmm. We have an outpatient clinic here, mm-hmm. have one in Upland, mm-hmm. have one in Victorville, mm-hmm. and one in Sun City. And the outpatient clinics are staffed by doctors and nurses and medical personnel from Loma Linda University.
Oh.
But Loma Linda VA Medical Center pays the salaries.
Mm-hmm. So it's paid through the government.
Yeah, and every VA, I like that is, every VA medical center for the last at least 20 plus years mm-hmm. has been associated with a medical school.
Mm-hmm.
So many of the doctors that provide services for our veterans at Loma Linda VA Medical Center are actually on staff at Loma Linda University Medical School.
Mm-hmm.
So they get the best treatment, they get the latest treatment, and it's just a fantastic.
Does this treatment also, or any problem, extend over to the families, or is it just for that veteran?
Here or there?
Either.
I can give you an example here.
Mm-hmm.
We work with the entire family.
Mm-hmm.
We work with what we call significant others.
Mm-hmm.
If a person comes in here, and primarily we treat post-traumatic stress disorder, combat stress.
Mm-hmm.
If the person has an uncle, an aunt, a mother, a father, a sister, a brother that's associated with their condition,
Mm-hmm.
there are significant others and they can be seen also.
Mm-hmm.
When our veterans get 100% disability, they're also entitled to have their wife or significant other receive, well, they have to be married to this person, a CHAMP VA card. So for the rest of the significant other or wife's life,
Mm-hmm.
they get free medical coverage through the VA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now at Loma Linda, they also do TRICARE. So all the military people around here on active duty go there for TRICARE. The people who are retired from the military go there for TRICARE. There's quite a big umbrella taking care of a lot of people.
Yeah, I can imagine. This is one of those centers, and I wanted to point this out. There was a specific reason why we're doing this particular show, and it has to do with treating, in this case, Vietnam veterans, and it is the trip. This is the second one of these trips that you've taken people here back to Vietnam. And I wanted to point out how did we go, I know we're down to like 2-3 minutes here. How did this come about? Whose idea was this?
Well, it was my idea to do it, but let me go back just a minute. We don't just treat Vietnam combat stress clients. Any veteran who is in combat, we have a number of World War II vets we see here, Korean War vets, Grenada, Panama, Bosnia, any place they were on active duty and engaged in combat.
Okay.
About 3 years ago, I started making contacts around the country asking team leaders at other vet centers if anybody had been back to Vietnam recently. And I hooked up with John Townsley. At the time, he was the team leader of the Raleigh, North Carolina Vet Center. So he hooked me up with Ed Henry, who was a corpsman with the Marines in Vietnam. And Ed worked with historical tours out of Virginia. So I contacted all these people, and I said, how about setting up a tour? And the way our tours go, we don't just take a bunch of vets over there and say, okay, this is this, this is this, this is this. Get the vets together. Where were you stationed? When were you stationed there? What would you like to see? So the first a group I took back last April, we went from Hanoi all the way down to the Delta. In Hanoi, we went to the POW-MI accounting office, which is staffed by American active duty military people, anthropologists. They work with the Remains Identification Center in Honolulu, and they gave us an excellent presentation of what they do over there. They said since they were started, they've recovered the remains of over 700 service members. They're getting authorized now to go into Laos and Cambodia. After that, they're also looking at a new thing of going offshore, because many planes were shot down, boats were sunk.
Right, right.
And even though they're stationed in Vietnam, if somebody goes down in an aircraft in the jungle in Peru, they send a team there.
Okay.
And these are just terrific, terrific people.
When we come back, and we're down to about a minute or so on this, we'll talk to some of the people that went over. And I know, buddy, this is, who picks up the tab on us? I know we're right down to the last 30 seconds here.
All of our vets,
They do
pay their way.
Pay the way.
It cost about $2,400, and that includes the airfare, the hotels, the transportation and the buses and everything, and about 9/10 of the meals. So it's really a
This is not
deal.
taxpayers supported on this. This is the.
No, that's the veterans pay their way.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I paid the $6,000 last year.
We'll be right back right after this. And welcome back. With us is our first guest who actually went on the tour. Stan, pronounce your last name?
Broda.
Broda. I think the obvious question is, why did you want to go back? You served there in a combat capacity, did you not? What did you do when you went out first time?
I was what they call Brown Water Navy, Mobile Marine Force down in the Mekong Delta. Why did I want to go back? Because Buddy asked me to go back.
Oh, okay.
That was the only reason. And yeah, that was the reason I went back. Buddy asked me to go, and
What? It's an interesting thing. Not everybody who's been, and you can, name any particular war, any particular time or place, really wants to go back. Why? Why did you want to go back and see this place?
Can I interject?
Sure.
Okay. There's lots of different types of treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder. One of the best is exposure therapy. For some people, it's not good because they're not ready. Now, I had for the first trip in April and this last trip, I had guys that wanted to go, and I didn't feel that they were ready. One example is a fellow we had dinner with last night. I would not have taken him because I don't feel he was ready. With exposure therapy, all of our guys who go back to Vietnam, before they go, they have very detailed memories of what it was like 30, 35 years ago, okay? And those are old memories, and the old tapes keep replaying all the time. A good example is when you were a kid, or the first time you went to Disneyland, you saw it a certain way. That impressed you, you saw everything, you took it all in, and it was just a terrific experience. When you went back the second time, maybe 3 or 4 years later, it was the same Disneyland, but it was different. And my goal with taking my guys back is for some closure, to address some unresolved issues, and to replace those old memories. They're never going to go away. With new, more positive memories. The new, more positive memories would be going back with a group of fellow vets in a time of peace, without the fear of being rocketed, mortared, sappered, whatever, and enjoying the trip. And Stan saw an awful lot of action. Okay, this whole last tour with Dark Horse Media filmed it for Discovery Channel or Discovery Channel, Military Channel. They filmed for several of them. I got a map here of where we went in 3 Corps, big map, and Stan can show you where places he was at. Stan, you want to maybe hold it up here to the camera?
Hold it up to the camera. Would you?
point it out. Well, I gotta see it myself to see where I was. We worked mostly down in the Mekong Delta, which was down south. The reason the Navy got involved down the Delta was it was all swamps, riverways, and 9th Infantry, who we transported down in the Mekong Delta. That's the reason we were down there, to transport the 9th Infantry up and down the rivers and tributaries, because it was pretty rough to get around down there in roads. There was no roads, it was all riverways and everything. So that's the reason they built these boats to transport 9th Infantry.
Specifically for this particular kind of action, then?
Specifically for this particular kind of action, yeah.
So there's nothing left of these boats for anything else other than just going for Vietnam War, doing this particular operation? That's
these type of boats, actually the Mobile Riverine Force ironclad boats started actually in the Civil War. They had them down running up to Chesapeake Bay and stuff like that, and this is the first time they've used ironclad boats since the Civil War to fight this kind of...
Personal interest here. What kind of training did you get to do this?
I think it was San Clemente Island. We did some mortar firing, weapons firing. We went up to the sloughs up in the Delta, up in Northern California, and did small craft training up there. And went to what they call a Sears class, which was a survival, evasion and survival course where we actually went to a simulated prison camp, spent some time in the prison camp, and that was about it.
How long were you in this program? How long did it take to go through it?
Probably a month.
A month?
Yeah.
4 weeks?
Yeah, for the Sears class that we took. And
how long were you down there in the Delta?
A year.
1 year?
Yeah.
How many times were you under fire? Do you remember offhand?
It seemed like every time we went on an
Every
operation, we'd get ambushed. My first operation, September 15th, 1967, I got my initiation, first operation. It's in the history books now, that day, September 15th, 1967, on Snoopy's Nose. Snoopy's Nose was a river, it was a Rock Canal, down around Canto, down south in the Mekong Delta. And I got initiated with probably one of the biggest battles down in the Delta that day. In fact, we had a ex-Viet Cong guy with us on the trip, and the night we went up that river, he told me big battle fought there, September 15th, 1967. He knew about it. It was in his history books.
Yeah, he was on the other side.
Right. Well, he was involved in a SAM site somewhere in 1971 that shot down 2 B-52 bombers. This VC guy. So it's pretty interesting to talk about.
Yeah. Go ahead with this. When you were there, as Buddy said, you get the flashbacks. Did this really bother you after a while? To see this coming back on you? You know, looking at this and say, geez, I remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do fishing trips a couple times a year up in Northern California and up in the Delta. And when we go up those rivers in the Delta, up in Northern California, I get flashbacks.
And I have to ask this because this is part of this as well. Buddy brought this up. When you're looking at this, what changed? What did it make it better, and what changed?
Well, I had a rough time the first month I was back from this past trip. Well, for one thing, I had 101 temperature the first night back.
Oh, so you got sick.
So I got something over there, and I think that put a lot of stress on me. 'Cause I think for the last 3 or 4 days over there, I felt like I had a fever, you know. And so that, and then it was pretty stressful. I mean, we were going, for the 10 days we were there, we were going 10, 12, 13 hours a day filming, going from location to location with different guys, different places. It was a pretty stressful trip.
We're going down time on this segment, but I've got to ask this. And what did you really get? Is there some specific things you can point to that you got out of this and said, okay, I feel better for it?
Oh, I mean, it was an honor to have been able to, when my son saw the program.
Oh, your boy was with you?
No. Another guy's son was there, but when my son saw the program, when it aired, he called me and he said, you know, you got to be pretty proud of yourself. I said, well, I am. He says, do you know how lucky you were to have gone back to do this show? Yeah, so it was quite an honor to have been able to be on a program like that on the military channel. You know, that's.
So how do you feel now?
I'll never go back there again. No way, you know.
Yeah.
There is some nice hotels. We didn't stay in good hotels every night. There was a couple that we stayed in that, I mean, they stunk. Mold, you could smell the mold in the sewer, you know. And one night I slept with a towel over my face because it smelled so bad. the sore, you know.
Would you said you wouldn't do this again, but was it worth the trip this time?
Oh yes, yeah. Like I said, you know, to be on the military channel. It's and just the 10 days we were together, the veterans that went, the camaraderie that we got out of it was pretty awesome, you know.
Okay.
Well,
We'll be right back right after this. Okay, here we are back for, this is a special segment we're going to tag on here. And I believe this man has written a poem about some of the feelings that he had at that time.
I held everything back. I didn't want to talk to anybody about Vietnam, and I don't think my family wanted to hear about it. And so I just kept it all inside. I kept it all inside for a lot of years until I started coming to the vet center. Then I got everything just started coming out the way I felt, and you know, then about my brother and everything. I just started writing. So, and it's a short poem, but I think it's gonna hit you, you know. So
Please.
it's who will understand? Who will understand? No one to talk to. Who will understand my pain? Will my brothers understand? Certainly not my friends. I dare not tell my mother, for she is in a lot of pain. She has lost a son. My sisters will not ask, is there anyone out there who will understand my pain? No one but brother vets. We cry, we laugh, and we hug. Who will understand my pain? Who will understand my pain? Who will understand my pain? Who will understand my pain?
Robert shared with us that the reason he wrote that poem, he was out at work or something when he found out his brother was dead. And when he came home, the family was there, his mother was crying, his sister was crying, and he couldn't bring himself up to hug her or something, right?
Yeah, when I came in, I was the last one to know about it. When I got home from work, my wife at that time told me that my brother was killed. And so when I walked in the door, my father was sitting at the kitchen table with his hand on his head. And my mother was in the living room crying with my sisters. And I just couldn't go up and hug her. I don't know why. I just went outside. So, and I felt kind of guilty at the time because I spent 18 months here and nothing happened to me. So it's
And as long as you were in country, your brother couldn't go.
right. And if I would have known that, I would have extended more. I would have re-enlisted again and stayed in Vietnam.
You may have these political feelings about any of the things that we do, but don't ever take it out on these guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you the next time. And welcome back again. Let's dwell a little bit on what we've talked about with Don Sutton was in Iraq. Vietnam was really the beginning of the television wars, as opposed to Korea and World War II. When you were there, and you were there, both of you there, it was the beginning of that era where you could see well, they were using still film and then they went over to the tape. What was the reaction to your family? Were they watching this intensely every day, or did they, I ask you this and I ask you this, either one?
Well, it was difficult not to watch it. It's sort of like today's war. It's difficult not to see it because it's on every newscast. At the time, this country was embroiled in a lot of social upheaval. At the civil rights movement, the women's movement in Vietnam, all at the same time. And so there was a lot of upset and tension. The anti-war movement had started.
So I was tail end Charlie for the company. So my gun tube orientation's to the rear, making sure that nobody's coming up from behind.
Were any of your troops combat experienced before this?
No.
No. How about the officers?
No. Our platoon commander He was with 3rd LAR for a while, and that's really about all I know.
So they'd never seen Desert Storm or any
No.
of this? So
No.
they came in pretty cold, just like everybody else did.
Mm-hmm.
When I ask that because there's an expectation of what you're going to see, or maybe you think you're going to see,
Right.
and then here's the reality.
Well, you know, when we started to catch up with the RCT, that's when you started seeing the dead bodies on the side of the road. And we had stopped at one location, and I think there was like 3 dead Iraqis on the side of the road, where I had my sergeants actually take the junior Marines and show them the reality of what's going on here, and to make sure that their head's screwed on straight to where they don't end up like those guys. Because you know, a lot of them, they're young kids, 18, 19 years old. They've never seen a dead person before in their life. So I made a point of having the sergeants go out and show them this, just to kind of get their head in the game. And
How did they react?
You know, they did pretty good. You know, they did their jobs well, and I think that it probably drove home a point. Hey, you know, this is for real. You know, people are going to die. Better him than me, type thing. You know, do our job. Let's get the heck out of here, and you know, go home to our families. So, and I'm real proud of all my guys. They did real well.
Did you see a lot of casualties there?
No, as I said, we were really some of the lucky ones that where we were. There just that wasn't happening during the time that I was there. That there were so many casualties. So, and most of them again were Iraqis.
So you didn't really see a lot of your own guys going down?
No, not in Iraq. I saw it in Desert Storm, but not in Iraq.
Why more in Desert Storm? Because it was supposedly a better plant, or is it just because it's a bigger operation?
I guess it was just a bigger operation, or where I was then compared to where I was this time. You know, and that was the thing that hit home with me, was that if I have to go somewhere else again, that it won't be the same.
Yeah.
And I won't be able to plan for it, and you make it up as you go.
Yeah. When you first saw the expanse of this country, we've had people on here prior about being there. And one of the things that they impressed, and they all said the same thing, it's expansive. There's just miles and miles of miles and miles. When you look at it from a tactical point of view, don't you have an advantage of looking out there? You can see somebody coming at you.
Well, you know, in the southern area, it was pretty open, although we were still limited to the roads. And when we were training in Kuwait, we thought it was going to be, we're training for maneuver warfare, open desert, you know, wedges and Vs and all this other stuff. And we crossed over, and we're tethered to the road. And once we got up into the central area, you didn't leave the road, or else you're getting stuck, because they had flooded out the fields. And so it was basically, you know, column movements, you know, convoy type patrols. So it really wasn't, you know, opened up.
So you didn't do any search and destroy thing?
Oh, well, we did that. We did plenty of that, but you're doing it in an urban environment. And so now it's, you know, it's three-dimensional. Now you've got to constantly be aware of, you know, what's above you, what you're going under, especially if you got your gun tube, the turrets traverse somewhere, so you're constantly having to bring your gunner back, you know, in front, so he doesn't hit telephone poles and all that stuff. And but you constantly got to look at the roofs, because I was just waiting for somebody to drop, you know, Molotov cocktails on us, or fire RPGs, or.
Okay, our director here, Dante, was in Nam, and he was making references in the between here about how the difference is when he was hit there. I mean, they came in and medevaced him. There's a difference in this case. You explain that, how you treat people differently from that situation, because it wasn't even a corpsman there.
Well, if there's not a medical personnel, we were just speaking about with the Marines, we do something a little bit different now. So we have a combat lifesavers course, and it's a spin-off from what the Army put together, and we teach the Marines how to render aid, and a lot of the things that we're going to experience or things that they might come across in and on the battlefield itself, where if a medical personnel was down himself, or I mean, and these things happen. So we give them the necessary tools. We tell them how it's going to happen, how it might happen, and it's a full course that we've started teaching to help them help each other. And
Right.
Do you get
Yeah.
caught in a situation like that?
Not really. But even back when we were in Kuwait, preparing to cross the line of departure, you know, we get a lot of classes, like I said earlier. But it's you know, self-aid, buddy aid, corpsman aid. You know, and like what the docs have you know, taught us. You know, how to give IVs, apply tourniquets. You know, start the breathing, stop the bleeding, protect the wound, treat for shock. You know, all those type of things. And each Marine in the platoon knows what to do once, you know, they get engaged. And we also kind of tell them, hey, you know, you might see, you know, your partner, your combat buddy, you know, bleeding somewhere, but it might be quicker to get him help is to neutralize the threat.
Right.
And, you know, kill the enemy and then come back,
Move 'em back.
and then
And that's part of that class that's so helpful, is you're not having guys just, you're making them think that it might be more beneficial to kibosh the enemy before we run out into the street and try and save our buddy.
Right.
Now,
And,
did you really see the guys up right here in your face? The enemy right up here in your face?
No, they're real cowards. Other than there was one suicide bomber dropped a grenade in the trunk of a car at one of our checkpoints. We saw him coming, and but you know, he's dressed in plain clothes. And my gunner actually saw him from about 300 meters away and just advised me, hey, this guy's coming down, he's got his hands behind his back. You know, I radio up to my scout team leader, hey, keep your eye out for this guy. And right at that time, he just ducked right behind the car, and it was a setup. And they had threw the grenade in the car blows up. None of the scouts got fragged. Immediately shot and killed that guy. And then his three buddies run across and took cover behind a kind of like a little rock building, mud hut, if you will, and then we pretty much let them have it.
Any regrets for going over?
No, none whatsoever.
no, not a one.
Okay. We're down to the last minute. Given the circumstances, and you know the circumstances here and there, we're going to be there 2 more years, it looks like. Is this really worth it?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you how everybody else feels, but when you're over there, it doesn't matter why you're there. Once you get there, I mean, you do it out of your duty. You do it out of this is what you said you would do. But once you get there, it's about getting the job done and the guy next to you. And that's what it becomes.
Oh, definitely.
There's another series of blips that is coming this way. Oh, I'm sorry, here they are up here, is the edge of it. And this is supposedly, this series of blips that starts off here is the P3. Now eventually what's going to happen is all of these in the same, looks in the same vertical space. If you will, imagine a shopping mall parking lot, okay, and one maybe where there's even a 2 or 3 elevation parking garage here. What you have on the screen is the radar scope, is someone saying, okay, I know that US Air is flying at 24,000 feet. I know that TWA 800 is flying at 13,700 feet because of numbers on here. On another one over here, part because it's true, is that a hole breaches an airplane and everything starts sucking out, you know, and it's because of disequal pressure, but also the plane by this time is going about 400 miles an hour, and so that wind force itself.
I think the DA may have a few things she needs to say to Ruth.
Ruth, they're going to bring the inmates in, and after the deputy gives us some instruction, and after you've had a chance to look, we're going to ask you some questions.
Well, I've just never done this before, and I'm a little apprehensive.
You okay? Just take a deep breath for me. He's not going to be able to see you.
Are you sure?
He's not going to be able to see you at all.
I can see it so plainly.
I know, but the way this glass is designed, they're not going to be able to see you, so you're safe here, okay? Deputy Perry's right here, so nothing's going to happen to you. All right? We're all right here.
All right. I'm ready.
CNN, for a minute.
attention, and I know it's gonna hurt to think back to the night that this happened. But if you take a deep breath and just take it one step at a time, it'll be over soon.
Well, that's what worries me. He knows where I live, and he can come back.
When this is over, when hopefully we're gonna put him somewhere where he can't come back and hurt you anymore, okay?
Gentlemen, let's all place the numbers right under your chin. Any special instructions on what you want the
I
gentleman
think
to do?
maybe have some turns to the right and the left.
Gentlemen, can I have you all turn to the right, keeping your number on your shoulder pointed outward? Go ahead and make your turn.
Can you see everyone okay?
Yeah. Gentlemen, turn to your left. Put the numbers in your opposite hand and keep them on the shoulder pointed outward.
Okay.
Could you get three to stick his hand in his pocket?
Gentlemen, I need all hands put in pocket, all three hands put in your pocket.
Would you like me to say? Ruth, when this happened, I think one of the things that they said to you was, the man said to you was, shut up or I'm going to kill you.
That's right. That's right.
Would it help you in this identification if you
I'd
were
like to hear a voice.
Okay, we'll have Deputy Perry ask them to say that line.
Number one, face forward. Take one step forward. Number one, take one step forward. Repeat what you wanted to say.
Shut up or I'm going to kill you.
Number one, I need you to repeat. After I've completed the sentence, I need you to repeat it back to me. I need you to say, shut up or I will kill you.
Ruth, is that how it sounded at the night you said this?
I need you to speak louder, please. Thank you. Step back in line. Number two, face forward. Take one step forward and repeat the same sentence. One more time, louder. Thank you. Place your back on the wall. Number three, turn forward.
If I could hear 4 and 2 again.
Number two, step forward and repeat the sentence. Thank you. Place your back on the wall.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Deputy Perry, take care of it.
Okay, gentlemen, if you don't turn to your left
It's okay.
and exit the room.
Be all right. Can't come through the glass and get you. Okay? He's going back into the jail.
The wand suits you because in the way you are a fairy godmother, you take away all the problems.
Fairy godmother.
Yeah.
And you know, you're right. If I could just walk around and tap all the bad people in the world on the shoulder with this and make it all go away, I would. Of course, I would have to find a new job, but you know what? That would be A-okay with me. Maybe that is why I keep it around, to remind me that even though I can't really physically use this to make the hurt and the pain go away, it's a symbol of what we stand for as advocates. We can't take away the hurt and the pain, but we can be a light in the darkness, and we can be a hand to hold walking through that dark tunnel. We can be a friendly voice on the other end of a phone line, and we can be a friendly face in a scary courtroom, and we do all of those things and more, and I'm really proud of that.
So what brought you out here to California Speedway here today for the
My kids.
the kids, huh?
Yeah.
They put you up to this, huh?
Last year it was motorcycle. This year it's speed.
Last year it was motorcycles?
Yeah.
Well,
And the year before that, boat.
a boat, huh?
How old are you, Mom?
Yeah, how old are you?
39.
Did I hear that correctly? 39?
39.
39 years old, gonna race a NASCAR car tonight. Today. Oh.
Oh, you'd be great. You'd be smiling.
I am 91 years old.
This is the first time you've
You
been.
can tell that with look at my face.
This is the first time you've done something like this?
No.
Yeah. Where have you done before? Okay, David Walker.
We talked about motorcycles.
Where do you want me to go?
Don't expect me to make a sign. You just go as fast as
Okay, I will. Don't you
Strap
worry.
you in, okay? So excuse me if I'm down here putting all this stuff on, okay?
There's some things going on right now that I'm sure you have a very strong opinion upon. Are you going to be doing anything publicly regarding these issues?
Are you talking about the war in Iraq, North Korea? What are you talking about? Poverty, what? Child abuse, domestic abuse? What are you talking about? Letting my little light shine.
Any films you're excited about seeing?
I have no idea who I'm going to see and what films are honored. I have no idea. The only thing I know is that I'm giving Stephen Daldry the International Filmmakers Award, and I'm very honored to do that, and everything else is going to be a surprise.
Well, the first major star I ever talked to was Gregory Peck, and that was back in the 70s, and he was great.
And just became fast friends, and
Just finding this out myself about you two, so that's really that's great.
You know, I owe it all to the main titles for Red Dragon because I was scoring them the day after we met, and I begged Bridget, come on down and just hear the orchestra going, and she showed up, and I think it really had nothing to do with me. It was the sound of the violins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the trombones were particularly sweet that day, and I think that impressed her.
It's true.
Well, whatever it is, I'm glad you guys are together, and enjoy the rest of the festivities. Thank you for talking with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, Danny Elfman didn't quite care for my question about Tales from the Crypt and The Simpsons, but you know what? I'm going to see to it that we get samples of both theme songs. They're exactly the same theme song. The Simpsons is kind of light and on a higher key, and Tales from the Crypt is a little bit lower. And anyway, regardless, you know what? The guys made so much to do a few things that sound alike. Hey, he's earned it.
This is the story of Eva Krause, survivor of Auschwitz concentration camp.
Hello, Eva. Thank
Hi.
you for being here with me today.
Nice being with you.
I know that you are living a very thriving, beautiful, fantastic life, but I also know it hasn't always been that way. You've been through some very incredible experiences, and today, thank you for being willing to share your story with us. My name is Trina Johnson. Have you ever been through anything and survived it? Well, today you have an opportunity to meet someone who has been through an incredible experience, and you want to start by telling us how old you were and where you were and what happened to you.
Well, I was born in Poland, and when the war broke out and the Germans occupied Poland, I was a 14-year-old girl. The people who went to Dr. Mengele, the one who went to the right, the others to the left, went to the ovens.
You're in a line and...
Line,
just like this?
like that. And some pointed out through the chimney that there is the smoke coming out, and those are the ovens. This we knew already in Auschwitz when I was.
And you knew what was happening.
Yes, in Auschwitz we knew.
How did you deal with that kind of terror and fear?
Every single day to me was like this is the last day. Many people will ask me questions and they will say, you had to have hope. I really didn't. If I talk about myself, if I had hope, I didn't. Even though I remember, and that was in Hindenburg in this camp, and when we heard the planes going by, and we thought that those are the Americans, and we ran out and we applauded, and we were so happy because we thought that they will bomb the camp. I still somehow, I was so young, and there were some older people, and they used to say that we will be liberated, that there will be a time. But I somehow did not believe. I always felt that this is the last day. And you had to be, yes, I was asked questions before if in what I believed. And you read my letter. I some believed that it believed in luck. Because how many times I was so close to death. And it isn't because I was stronger. The strong survive. The weak did not. I remember when I was staying in front of Mengele, I was a little girl. And there were beautiful young girls, healthy. They went to the ovens, and I went to Hindenburg, to this labor camp. So I don't know, what is it? I think it's luck. What else?
Do you recall anything, any certain thing or person? What is it that kept you alive, do you think?
What kept me alive is, yes, luck. And then I was, many of us, among us, gave up. And they sat in that place, in Bergen-Belsen. Yeah, and they did not move. They did not leave that barrack. And this is how they died. I used to get out from that barrack and go and be like a beggar. Stay on the kitchen. And I have another story which I missed about a German. And beg for a little food and did some work in the camp, like carrying the food to the barracks. And I got this little bit of extra, little food. And I remember running to the barracks and sharing with my friend. It's very easy to share when you have a lot. But please, God, be my witness. I shared when I had little. I shared with others. I'm still sharing. I still believe in sharing, in giving of yourself and helping others to make a better world.
You are.
But in 1945, and I'm sure that that story never was told, because there was this German doctor that we befriended him after the war. And the day of liberation, he went into the kitchen because the Germans were escaping already from the camp. The Hungarians took over. They gave him the rifles they throw, and the Hungarians took over, and the Germans escaped. But what they did, they went into the kitchen and they poisoned the food. This German doctor went into that kitchen and told him not to give us out the food. That story was never told by anybody. And the name of this doctor was Dr. Kruse. And he saved a lot of lives. Later, after liberation, he became the head doctor in our camp. And we became very close friends with us, with all of the survivors. And I hope that he is among the righteous in Israel, because I've been there and I was looking for his name. At the time when I was there, I didn't see it. But this German doctor saved a lot of lives. And he lived with us in the camp, and he was my doctor after the war.
And I'm really thank you for sharing an incredible experience of your life. To bring it a little more up to date now, I know the button that you have on that you wear so proudly is your husband, your late husband.
Yes.
And we wanted to get a shot of that. And I'm real interested in that love story there. When your eyes met at the camp, and was instant love?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
And so there's a certain bond, obviously,
Yes.
that you have and still
Yes.
carries with you today with
Yes.
other survivors.
We built a life together. We came out from a camp, like I mentioned before. We both had nothing, but we were very happy to be alive. And we have a beautiful family.
Mm-hmm.
But, like I mentioned to you, my husband passed away. It's almost, it's 10 years, yes. But I met a man in Palm Springs 7 years ago who is also a survivor. And we are together. Right at the moment, he's very sick. But we had a beautiful relationship. And because we went through so much pain, he lost his wife, I lost my husband. We understand one another.
Right.
And we feel for one another. We have a history together, and that's why our relationship is so strong. Mm-hmm. And I pray to God, please God, let him get well. So, I've been through before, I'm going through now, and I hope I will survive this too. And please God, let him get well. Mm-hmm. He too has a lovely family, and he too built his life in the United States when he came to this country very young and did everything on his own. And all I can pray is wish for him to get well.
Eva, are there other survivors that you stay in contact with?
Yes.
Were they from your camp?
Yes. Some from my camp. Some are not from my camp, but we feel it's a kinship. It's something that it draws us together one to another. We have so much in common. Mm-hmm. We often talk about our lives and what we all went through. And then how happy we are here now, being in the United States. And God gave us our life back. Thank you, God.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I'm thankful too. I know very recently Steven Spielberg, 3-4 years ago, came to your home.
Yes.
And did a documentary.
Yes.
What was that like?
Well, every time I speak of my experiences, it's very painful for me. It's reawakening my horrible, horrible memories. Like I mentioned before to you, that we must remember the dead and educate the living. Because I wished and I hope that the world should never, never forget. Because I will always remember. So it is a hardship when I speak of all the experiences, the horrible experiences that I endured in my life. But I think I became a better person. I appreciate everything that I have. I'm not talking right now about material things. I appreciate life.
How would you describe yourself?
A very happy person. Very energetic. I always like to do and go places and experience different people and be with people. I love people. I love people. I will show you later a gift from my children, but they gave it to me. And you will hear what they think of me.
Okay.
I'm always happy, I'm always appreciating life. And life is beautiful, every single day. We should be thankful for every day.
Is that your motto?
Yes, because you never know what tomorrow will bring. Today is your day, so hold on and do the most with it.
That's all we know for sure that we have.
Yes, today is yours.
It seems like to me, the same way in the camp, how you forced yourself to get up.
To get up
day
and go out, yes.
Is why you lived. And now also, you're forcing yourself to speak of the horrific things that you went through so others can learn and not forget. Because we can learn an awful lot from your story. I know I have today.
Thank you.
I really have.
Thank you. Thank you for being kind.
Oh. If you could change anything at all from your past, would you? And what would you change?
Well, I don't understand that question. Because if I could change, I would love to have my husband. If I could change, I would like to have my parents, my family.
Carmody's people, end scene tracking, take one. Action.
From a little town near the border, Tequila Flats.
I'd rather... Sure you packed enough underwear?
Sorry, Riley.
What took you so long?
"40 minutes late, Duarte. This ought to be good. Be careful with those, will you?